And we're back. We got Bhavs in the building. We saying, my guy, big up the chat as well.
Chilling, my bro. Appreciate the invite as always. Hopefully, everything is blessed.
Everything's cool, man. Why'd you look sad, man?
I'm just knackered, bro. I'm just so tired today.
So join the club, man. I feel like I've been streaming 24s today, man. But appreciative to having you locked in. I'm a bit weird you've been available, man. And why I say that is, I thought you would have been in Singapore. To be fair.
Nah, this year we're taking a break. I had other things to focus on, so I thought it wasn't the right choice to make. And to be fair, I've been to the tours the last couple of years. It's nice to meet the players and that, but being there, done that. So let's focus on the content for now.
I hear you. On the topic of that, I'm gonna assume you watched the game, right? Yesterday.
Of course, as always.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me about the game. Everything you found with the game, everything, man.
To be fair, it was a dominant performance. We had most of the ball, and in the second half when Zubimendi came on, we had a lot more control. I would still like to see more from our attack, to be honest. But with the personnel we have, we know that it doesn't work to the level that we're looking for. We see Liverpool right now and last season as well, and Man City. So I feel there wasn't any new patterns that I noticed. I feel there was still the same issues, especially on the left-hand side. I think in terms of Gabriel Martinelli, it's becoming very hard to see him as the quality of winger that we need to go and, win a title or a Champions League. So for me, I saw a lot of the same, but obviously Nwaneri playing as a number 10, looking far more physically ready as well. That was nice. Him, competing for the duels. And then second half, it was that Zubimendi performance. It was very impressive. I think the way he was just firing balls into that final third, finding the likes of Odegaard and Dauman. Yeah, in terms of Max, I mean, there's a lot of hype going into it. I don't watch academy football. I've seen all the clips and stuff, but when you then watch him play in that first team and just I think his first couple of minutes, he takes a shot off straight away, beats a couple of players, looks silky smooth. I remember when Nwaneri made his debut, I think he was also 15, and obviously we didn't make much out of it. We thought, okay, he's just a young player coming through, but Dauman's come through there and just, it looks real. It looks like the real deal straight away. So imagine how good he could be in 2-3 years' time when I think he'll be first team ready. Honestly, insane talent. Great performance.
Let me ask you on that, because you've touched on, you've based it. I think you're bang on the money with a lot of what you said. Yeah, it kind of sets this up perfectly because I want to ask you a bit more talking points. The first was obviously Nwaneri and obviously Max Dauman. Now we know he's 15. Neither you nor myself nor anybody in the chat, smash the like button, by the way, can control the hype in it. We all know he's young. You got to let him develop, all of that kind of stuff. But what he's doing is phenomenal, isn't it? You're 15, you're with the first team, you're playing for the 21s, you're captain in the 18s. You played recently for England under 70s during the Euros. Everyone can see that you're not the finished article, but it's lovely. And above everything, like you said, he had a shot away and all of that. You got the temperament in it. You've got the temperament. And where you look at him, he's recently been playing up the age groups. He doesn't look physically strong and all of that, and he's still obviously growing and whatnot, but physically I think that's an underrated aspect. I think when you look at Pedri, Kabasi, Lamine Yamal, Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Skelly, they're all teenagers developing at different rates, right? But physically there's some degree of they're able to handle, simply put, men's football. I wanted to ask you though, because you mentioned Max Dauman and Nwaneri, and we'll get into Eze, there's rumors around Eze, and obviously there's concerns about Odegaard. Do you think them two young players have kind of put Odegaard under a bit more pressure? Do you think Nwaneri's coming for his spot? Where's your thinking at with all of that?
To be quite honest, I think Odegaard's performance yesterday was decent. I think he was looking a bit sharper.
Social media though,
on the ball as well. Huh?
Social media though. I agree, but social media.
No. When I watch games now, I tend to avoid going on Twitter, let's just say, because there's a lot of different echo chambers you can go on. And if you watch the game for itself, a lot of the performances that fans might have criticised, I don't think it was that bad. I think Odegaard's actually very decent, looked very sharp compared to last season, looked a bit more, sharp in terms of the passing and just the mental awareness of where to be. But in terms of Dauman and Nwaneri, I think long-term, they're massive threats, but that's what you want from your club. You want your academy players to come in with the idea of taking over from the best players. And I think obviously it'll be hard because he's the captain and he's a massive player behind the scenes and, all the work he does in terms of the training ground. But I think in terms of Max next season, if we see him play, I think he'll play mainly in Bukayo's area. Because if you're going to play as a number 10, and in the Premier League is a lot of physicality, even in the Champions League as well. So like we saw with Nwaneri last season, it's a lot easier for you to be an attacking midfielder coming inside with space rather than playing in those congested areas where you're going to be physically, tested quite a lot. And that's why even last year when Ethan plays the number 10, in certain games he looked physically, not ready just yet. And it makes sense. The guy was 17. So I feel I think in terms of Max and Ethan, long-term wise, and I'm saying long-term and even the short long-term as well in the next couple of years. Maybe this season, Nwaneri can show that he can play as a number 10. There was a game last year where I think it was the 0-0 draw against Everton where Mikel took off Odegaard, even though we had
And
to win
brought
that
him on.
game and score a goal, and he put Ethan on there. So
We
clearly,
struggled with the low block that day.
yeah. But even though Mikel sees the profile, seeing it on paper is one thing, seeing it in training is another, but then seeing it in those games, providing decisive moments, I think that's what we're going to see. And, we saw it in the final game last season against Southampton, playing as a number 10 as well. So there's a lot to look forward to. That's why I kind of think Arsenal haven't been after like the verts, even though Eze can play as attacking midfielder. I think he's more of like a left-sided solution, player that can play on the left-hand side, all players are left number 10 as well. On that right side, we've got a lot of players there. And the issue we might have is Ethan and Max, obviously Ethan's slightly older, and the fact I'm saying that he's 18, but they're gonna come through in the same position. So unless they can play together or someone out wide as well, it's a good problem to have. But once they come into the first team and they're starters, we're gonna have to think about it then.
And before we know it, me, you, and everybody in the chat, there's probably some random 13, 14-year-old that in the next year or so is going to be joining them, and we're going to be gassing them. But like you said, that's what we want from our academy. We want good problems. We want versatility. I'm not saying I want this with Wanyeri or Dowman, but not everybody can make it. If they can't make it here and they can make some money for our academy to reinvest, bearing in mind, I think it's like 2 million a year to keep the lights on. So if you sell someone for 10+ million as a conservative bet, it's all amazing. I do think people need to calm down. I don't think Odegaard was amazing, but I don't think he warrants the kind of, like you said, like the echo chambers things on social media. He missed the penalty. No one don't care about that. I think it's just really Wanyeri's couple of moments and Max Dowman's is just further kind of a stick to poke Odegaard. And I think some of it is valid. I think some of it is unfair. I think us fans let's have it right. We're impatient. We got a good team. We ain't been winning. I think fans, just anything that rubs them up the wrong way, they're onto it. What did you make of the left-hand side? Because you kind of touched on it. Like, I'm a big fan of Martinelli. I'm sure you are as well. He's regressed. He's stagnated. His footballing IQ hasn't improved. I'm not necessarily getting onto him for yesterday, but it did feel like the same thing. Do you think like it's imperative we sign a left winger this season?
We need to improve the left-hand side, whether it's 100%. Giving Martinelli a different sort of platform, getting him more centrally and playing like a more overlapping fullback, or getting a number 10 that play on that side instead of Declan Rice just crashing into the box. We need something different, because the left-hand side has looked stale for 2 seasons now, not just in terms of last season, but the year before that as well. So at one point, you got to ask yourself the question of, is it the personnel or is it the system? And if it is the personnel, you have to, yeah, exactly. It's a balance, most likely. But you have to go into the market and then find what you want. I actually feel like profile-wise, Nelson looked the most suited to what Mikel wants from his left winger to do. We just hold the width and come inside and be light on his feet. Martinelli at times, I think, is a bit heavy on his feet. He's a bit predictable. He's got the same style of dribbling where he waits for the guy to commit, then tries to drive past him. It works here and there, but we need like a consistent level of threat. And I don't see Martinelli as a two-way threat. We can cut inside and go outside. It's very much, you might beat a man, but can you provide the high quality cross to find the striker, whether it's Gyokeres or Havertz? I don't think so. I think there was a moment where he nutmegged a couple players and put a decent ball inside, but I saw those
kind of the same mode, yeah.
I've seen it back in 21-20 or 21-22 where he smoked Trent and that, and I've seen it before in those days as well. So I'm used to that. Maybe, a bit grateful for it at the same time as well. But I've seen high quality wide forwards that can beat their man consistently and provide the ball. We've got one on the right hand side, so why not also have one on the left hand side?
You said it there, man, and I'm at the point with Martinelli. It's not positive, it's not negative. I just feel the left-hand options we've had at this moment in time, you're not bad players, but 5 games, I don't know what we're getting from you. I think with Gyokeres, which we'll get into, that's a step in the right direction. You're scoring bare goals. Obviously, we know what Saka is doing. We need more sure bets. We need to stop gambling in it. Like, we need to know what we're getting from these footballers. But equally, kind of like you touched on, it does come down to tactics, and I guess that's a question for Mikel Arteta. I know people don't want to hear this, but it is the first game of pre-season. Whatever we've been doing for the last 2 years that have got us to this point, positive and negative, like the invertedness, the false 9, all that stuff, that didn't happen overnight. Us rebuilding or rethinking our tactics is a better way, isn't going to happen overnight. All I ask for is in every preseason game, we're just getting a couple percentages better. Really and truly, you're not going to see the benefits of everything that every team's doing in preseason, probably until like the 10-game mark in the Premier League. So I have to say how it is. You touched on it. Reece Nelson. Now, every preseason, there is players of clubs that they start moving like Neymar and things like that. Where are you at with Nelson? Is it one last dance? Can he get an opportunity, or is it, unfortunately, got to go through the door, man?
No, it's time to move on. And I say that because every preseason for the last couple of years, he hooks you back in. You think, yeah, this is the time. And he might, have the start of the season where he's maybe, I don't think he's been a starter. I think he's been a bit unfair in terms of the chances that he's given right at the start of Mikel Arteta's tenure. But once he did get his chance, I think it was when he got his contract, he couldn't stay fit. And that's the issue. We don't want to go into this season where there's so much pressure to go and win a title. And if Nelson's an important part of your team and the squad depth wise, I wouldn't mind him as an option. And I think with less minutes, you can manage his fitness. But even last year at Fulham, he had his glimpses, and I think a couple good starts and appearances off the bench, and then did his hamstring. So he's like the OG star boy that, wasn't meant to be. It is what it is, but we've got enough more coming through. You got Max, and you got Ethan, you got Saka, and you've got, the players like Miles with Skelly as well. So I think in terms of Nelson, it's time to, get the most value possible, because he won't be a starter next season. He might have a few minutes off the squad. And that's ultimately just going to decrease his value. So if there's teams that are after him right now, and if it's a loan with the obligation to buy or something like that, I think it's time to move on. And it's annoying because I think profile-wise, as I said, he's probably more suited to what we want from that left winger than Martinelli and maybe Trossard, because he's a mix. He's just as nimble on his feet like Trossard, but he's got more explosive pace. But the issue is he's never been able to stay fit. So you have to be ruthless, man.
And he's on 100 grand a week. So not that I care how much he's getting, but obviously you're gonna have to be moved on. How do you feel about our sales? How do you feel about our ability of moving on these players? I know Bert has come to the team, been employed, but do you really think we're gonna shift on the Fabio Vieiras, the Nelsons, the Lokongas, so on and so forth?
I think there'll be a lot of loans like we saw last year, and sometimes it works in a favour, and sometimes it don't. But I think certain players we can sell, like Trossard, players that have played part of the first team. And even Fabio Vieira, he had a decent loan spell last year at Porto. So there's a lot of players that you can sell, but you will get the odd loans here and there. I am very jealous, to be honest, because I'm seeing Liverpool make their moves. And that's because they can sell Diaz as well. I wish that we got to the stage where we can get that. And to be fair, if Martinelli was on the market, he would demand a very reasonable fee. Bearing in mind that we've paid 50 for Madueke, Spurs paid similar for Kudus, and there's been other wide forwards like that as well. Alanga went from nearly 60 as well. Wages. Martinelli could demand a decent amount of money, and maybe if we can sell him for a decent amount of money to Saudi or whoever it wants him, then you can maybe go for another big forward. But right now, I feel like there's the players that will probably be Trossard and Fabio Vieira, and players that haven't been a part of the first team apart from Trossard. And then past that, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a first teamer, if a right offer arrives, that Arsenal are okay, cool, let's swap him out, find another piece that suits us better for what we need there, and ultimately
give us an example of that.
Let's say Martinelli goes. Let's say £60 million comes in, or £70 million comes in from Saudi Arabia, and Arsenal can sell him for that amount of money. Then you can actually go for a specialised left forward. Unless Mikel sees Madueke as that, which we're not sure because he hasn't played yet. We don't know what Mikel's plan is for him. But if you can get specialised left forward, whether it's Rafael Leao, Rodrigo, there's a lot of names, Anthony Gordon, so many players out there that are more suited to what Mikel Arteta wants. I don't think there's an issue with Martinelli's quality. I still think he's a very good player. And if he was platformed the right way, playing more centrally, we saw it in that game against Liverpool last year. We drew 2-2, where he's in the second half making a run centrally. That's what his game's at. If you have him out wide, where his 1v1 bag isn't as creative as Saka's, you're always going to see him struggle. So at one point, you have to ask Mikel the question of, if he ain't working, find someone else. And I actually feel like even Eze could do the role there, or Simons or Eze, because they're players that they don't have a lot of space to run into, but they've got the, more variation in their dribbling ability, where they can beat a man inside and out, and they're a bit more disguised. Whereas in terms of Martinelli, it's very much like hold, let me sprint past him.
You know what he's going to do.
We've seen it for years, the same type of skill move. And it used to be effective, but the issue now is defenders are faster, stronger, and they know your game. And right now we have to.
And teams are deeper, so there's less space typically to run him by.
And we're talking about big spaces here. Don't even get me started on low blocks, because that does not work against low blocks. You need players that can pass the ball and create chances, and that's why I think signing Eze makes so much sense, because he has more quality in tight spaces. He comes alive in those spaces, and even on the counter attack. We talk about Martinelli being probably our most effective player on transition, but is that really the case? How many times have we seen him, be played in 1v1, make the wrong choice, not pass the ball, or make a shot where he could have passed the ball? I feel like it's more because we don't have pace. We think, we can't lose our pace, but why not add other types of qualities? Eze is not as fast as Martinelli, but I think he's more decisive and better in terms of decision making. So that's why I would go for a different player there. And that's what I hope we can do as well. And if not, add Eze on top of Martinelli. You got then a runner. You got the left forward of Madueke, who can be left-footed and hold the width as well and be a bit more different. And then you've got Eze, who's great for tight spaces. You want to have solutions next year, and I think that's what our main priority has been in the summer so far.
I think you're right, man, in that regards. And you touched on something that I always say, obviously, I'm not against selling Martinelli. I like Martinelli. I just feel you need to upgrade on that. Like, it's not sustainable in the role that you're in. Like, you like you said, we've done this for 2 years now. For me, with Martinelli, it's like, I accept you for what you are. Minimum, you can come off the bench, you can rotate, you can do all of that jazz. A part of me also feels, to see the best Martinelli, I think you need to cut, like, I don't want to say, I say this with a heavy heart, and I only mean, like, obviously I'm not watching Liverpool week in, week out, nor am I Newcastle, but when you are watching them, it's end to end, it's kind of crazy football. Like, that's where Martinelli excels. And you lightly touched on him playing against Liverpool through the middle, in which some fans are holding on to that, and I don't doubt it, but it's just, for me, I couldn't tell you what Mikel Arteta demands from a striker, obviously. But I think if everybody's fit, obviously, we're going to have Gyokeres. You're going to have, give or take, Marino and Kai Havertz. If everybody's fit, you're going to have Gabriel Jesus. And I'm probably missing out someone that are all going to be ahead of Martinelli, maybe even Trossard, ahead of Martinelli in that pecking order. I want to ask you a question as well, lad. You mentioned Madueke. If we just assume, that Gabriel Jesus, Madueke, Martinelli, and Trossard, you're all fit, you're all an option off the left-hand side, which one would you start?
I don't know about Madueke just yet, because I think he's a quality player there, by the way. I think he's a player at Chelsea that when I watched him, I actually did like him, to be honest. And I don't like a lot of players that play for Chelsea, but I can't say, he starts left wing, because we haven't seen him play there for Arsenal just yet. His stints at Chelsea were all right. I think he had that game against Liverpool last year towards the end of the season where he drove past a couple of players, and Schlott spoke about it after the game, saying that Madueke, caused a lot of problems. So obviously you got Saka, and then you got the striker being Gyokeres. Right now, it'd have to be either Trossard or Martinelli, because that's all I can see so far. Madueke,
which one would you go with, though?
I'd still go for, depends on the games, Depends on the games. If we're going to have more space, then I'll go for Martinelli.
You know what? Gun to your head, Champions League final.
Champions League final.
Gun to your head.
Champions League final, I'm going Martinelli.
Either Champions League final or last game of the season.
I'm going Martinelli because I feel like he's, in the big games, he has turned up. He scores goals in big games. So if we're going Champions League final, yeah, but over the course of a 38-game season, I want to improve in both options. I don't want to have to pick between Trossard and Martinelli. Decent players, but are they Saka level? Can we get Saka level?
Can we get 50% of Saka, which is above them two, respectfully?
Yeah, the way I look at it is Martinelli's he's a wide striker. He's a player who loves to play. If you're gonna, Jurgen Klopp type system where you're crashing the box in that far post, we're playing him as a winger. Saka's a winger, and that's why he thrives in that area. So I feel like if I had to pick, I probably think it'd still be Martinelli, Gyokeres, and Saka. But if Madueke can prove to me that he can play on the left-hand side and he's a reliable option and he can beat his man 1v1 and provide quality crosses, then it could change very quickly.
Which one out of Martinelli and Trossard do you think is more likely to leave this summer? If any,
Trossard.
Or it could be both or none.
I think one will leave, to be honest. I think one will leave, and it will help Arsenal get that next attacker that they want, probably in Eze, if we're talking about who's available, who wants to come, who's got the price tag as well. Trossard makes sense because his contract, he's at the age now where if you don't give him a contract, year on year, his value goes down. So if teams now value him at £30 million and you feel like to yourself going forwards, he ain't going to go up in value, then you got to maximize now. And of course he's not, because he's going to get older and his contract's going to go down. So for me, Trossard leaves this season, most likely. And that's where you can get an Eze as a that'll be a very good window. It wouldn't be perfect. You can always get better. I don't believe in perfection, but it'll be a very decent window.
Do you really think we're going to get Eze and Rodrigo? Like some say, do you think we're going to get Eze? Do you think we're going to get Rodrigo? Do you hope for both? Do you think we get both?
Bro, I'll take anyone. I'll take everyone right now. Of course, I'd hope for both. Of course, I'd take Rodrigo. We're greedy, bro. We're Arsenal fans.
We need to be greedy. We've been waiting a long time now.
We can get Eze in this window, and next window, if another top attacking midfielder becomes available, we want that guy as well. But realistically speaking, I don't think £68 million price tag, the release clause, is unfair in Eze. I actually think it's a bit lower for what people are paying for attacking midfielders right now. You're thinking about a guy who's 27, Premier League proven. We've seen the quality in the FA Cup final. Him selling more and more big games. I think there was talk last year when Elise went to Bayern that he wasn't quite on, Eze wasn't quite on that level of consistency. I think last year you saw more of that, where he became the main man and scored important goals. And I feel because he gives us more solutions. You can play as a left number 10 if you want to in certain games, or you really want to go for games, you're chasing the goal, you can play him there and he can provide you an option there. But also on the left-hand side, we've seen it for Crystal Palace on the counter-attack, but also in those tight games as well, he can provide a shot from outside the box. His ball striking is fantastic. And he's got just a great way of disguising his dribbling, where he can, you don't know where he's going, left or right. And I feel like that's the thing I want the most on that side, because I've accepted Mikel doesn't want to play that left winger as a wide striker. That's why I'm going past Martinelli. If he was to change that and have maybe an overlapping fullback to hold the width, things could be different. But I think right now, as of the current players that we have, and what I saw yesterday as well, an Eze profile would be far more suited because he'd be an upgrade on Trossard ultimately than it would be to Martinelli.
So what do you make of left wing's one thing, and that's where I think if everybody's fit, that's where Eze probably plays. If I'm completely honest with you, in an Arsenal team. But what do you make of his because obviously he can play in a bunch of roles. Like he could obviously deputise for Saka on the right, left hand side right now. He looks like a shoe in. I don't think we'd see it, but you could probably make a case of maybe in the game Arteta might try something with one lone 6 and Eze might be one of the rotating 8s. What do you make of him with like against Odegaard? Like if him and Odegaard are like direct competition for that role, like where do you rank that? Where do you look at that?
If we get Eze, I want him to play with Odegaard. I don't have to choose between attacking midfielders. We've already got enough defensive security and quality defensively to not have to double up all the time. You know, you've got some of the best 1v1 defenders in the world. Give them the trust they deserve, and then you can have the other players involved as well. So I don't have to choose between
back to the Wenger days when all the cams are on the pitch.
Yeah, obviously, like we had Rosicky and you had Wilshere and you had every single player playing together. I don't think we'll go that far, but ultimately, I want to have both players playing together. I want more creative opportunities. If they're going to have a striker who can score the goals, we need players that can provide the chances. There's no point in having a goal scorer if he's not getting the ball in the right areas. And I think having an Odegaard and a Saka on the right-hand side and having an Eze on the left-hand side, who do you mark? How do teams deal with that? You're asking teams questions that they can't answer sometimes. And I think that's what we need because ultimately we're going to face a lot of low blocks again. Teams know how to play against Arsenal. We saw it work against us last year, but we had the most or second most draws in the league.
Another thing that's been the case of 2 seasons now as well.
Yeah, and I feel like if we'd signed more attackers last summer, you could have seen more solutions. And in terms of this year, you got players like that thrive in transition, Madueke and Gyokeres, but players that thrive in those tight spaces. That's why I was looking at Simons, but it looks like he's going Chelsea. But if not, it has to be Eberechi, man. I know, ultimately, bro, if he takes a number 10 shirt, he's come from Hale End. I think he cried when he left Arsenal. It'll be quite the story as well.
Romantic.
But it is, but I want to see the quality of a player. I don't care about storylines right now. I care about just get him in the team and show me the quality you have. Because I don't want to have be in the position next season where you're going, we could have signed him. We weren't ambitious enough. You've got Liverpool. Liverpool have got one striker for 95 million euros. And now they're putting up a £120 million up for Isak if he wants to leave. Come on, you can't be competing with those quality of teams. And that quality of attack they'll have of maybe a Salah, a Ekitike. I don't know if he plays together with Isak, but if they get Isak as well, it could work together. And then, of course, you could forget Florian Wirtz. If you've got that quality there, Man City, you've got Erling Haaland. You need to show a level of ambition as well. And ultimately, we have the money. We spent £70 million last summer on Calafiori and Marino. Spent nothing in January. So if you've gone from Gyokeres because you don't want to go for Isak on his own and you want another attacking midfield on top of it, it can't just be Madueke. And I don't think Arsenal fans will accept that because Madueke is not a popular signing. And you need to sign players that fans are getting excited about as well. And if you sign an Eze and you're an Arsenal player who's played with him, like Bukayo Saka in England, you're going, hang on a minute.
You're going to get gas like we're serious now.
Oh, you saw the Skelly video. You saw him doing the Gyokeres celebration. The players, bro, we're in the area of social media, yeah, where every single player's got social media. We've seen Declan Rice, who's been following social media accounts.
He's never hid away from that yet.
They see it. They watch it. They see it. So if you get an Eze who's shown it in the Premier League, they're not watching the Portuguese league as much, but they are watching the Premier League. And they watch the FA Cup final. And they saw Eze scoring that. So it builds excitement. It gives the fan base a mood lifter as well. And, it builds a lot of confidence going into the season. When we signed that was it Jesus Zinchenko window, a lot of fans were excited and we made a great start to the season. It does make an impact.
And we're impatient now. Some of it is illogical. A lot of it is logical. I think even the most like fans like ourselves, where we'll give praise to the club where you're due praise, critique where critiques purposes. We're kind of impatient in it. I don't think the club necessarily care about who they want to sign. I mean, who the fans want or not, because we've been here before and we hope they all thrive. But I think you're right. If it came down to it though, Eze, Rodrigo, which like you can only have one. Where are you at with that? You got your game-changing left wing, I'd assume, with Rodrigo. You've also got Eze who could do that, but you've got your versatile attacker. Like, which one would you pick?
For me, I'd actually go for Eze.
I know you said we're greedy, but you could only have one in this case.
Yeah, I'll go Eze. And it's a hard choice because Rodrigo is more of a natural wide forward. But again, I think he's a player who thrives more centrally. And we've seen that with Martinelli. Even though Rodrigo's got more of a bag dribbling-wise, and I think he's even more high quality in terms of the finishing, I think Eze, because he gives us the ability to play another 10 alongside Odegaard or a Wanyeri or a Dalman. If you've got that option there, I'd rather have that there when you've got a Martinelli as an option and now Madueke on the left-hand side than just have Rodrigo who can play on the left-hand side. He ain't going to play down the middle. He ain't going to play as a false nine. So that kind of becomes put to one side. Whereas Eze can play in both roles, and both roles need improving as well. So because he, fixes both the areas, that's what I'm going for, man. I'm going for Eze and also the Premier League proven, man. And it matters because I want players that come in next season. They know the league, they know the environment, and also a point to prove. I don't know if Rodrigo wants to leave Real Madrid. He's not starting games right now, but he ain't made it clear that he wants to leave. Eze, for me, I don't think he's actively looking for a move, but if he comes to Arsenal, having had that history of the club as well, he's going to come to the Emirates with a point to prove of like, look, this is why you should have kept me in the academy, but now I've gone away, I've developed my game elsewhere, and I've proven myself, and now I'm made to shine.
You got rid of me for free, and now you're buying me for what? Let's assume 60 odd million quid. I think they're both difficult business.
Pogba in it, Man United.
Exactly. Exactly. Like we needed exactly. And for me, I kind of piggy banking off what you're saying, but for me, I'm a bit different in that I think they're both difficult deals to get done respectively to both. I think, you've got to ask yourself the question. I don't feel we have FFP or we need to sell to buy. I've just always had the mentality. I know we're getting to Gyokeres and I know we're getting over the line with Gyokeres, but I feel in the ideal world, everyone that's at the club already that's been brought in and Gyokeres, they would have been done. I think Berta might have focused on some outgoings, the numerous names we've discussed. Then when we kind of get that, we see how much wages we have to play around with and whatnot, then I think we'll go for Eze, because at this moment in time where I look at Eze, it just feels like we're talking to his camp. We haven't officially started anything. To be fair, we've heard that with Rodrigo. Why I would like both, as you said, we're greedy. I think I'd be more gassed. It's disingenuous to Eze. I'll be gassed. I'll be excited. I really like Eze. And the same goes for Rodrigo. I just think for me, in my head, Rodrigo would probably be more of a statement signing because of the Real Madrid and all of that. But then when I break it down, you both be great players, innit? Like, you're going to get slapped on the left-hand side. It's just, I don't think you'd have a problem in the Prem. But I don't know if you'll succeed. I don't know for the physicality. I'm not saying you're not a star and all of that stuff, but it's easy. It's not easy, but like, all the stars you've got at Real Madrid. I've seen Saka do it by himself. To a degree, I know Palace have had ballers, but I've seen Eze do it by himself. And then for me, if they're both really difficult, piggy banking off what you said, I think it's better to just focus on Eze. He's got a release clause. He's got that Arsenal attraction. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's got a release clause to kind of operate with. With Rodrigo, everything's conflicting. I don't even know if Xabi Alonso was to say to Rodrigo, like, bro, you're not going to play as much as you think. He might sit there and say, you know what, it's a World Cup year, stability. When I get an opportunity, I'm going to take it. I'm going to grab it with both arms and whatnot. So for me, I would focus on Eze. But what I would say is, if you get Eze and Rodrigo, either all great. If you get one and not the other, great. But when I see Eze, I see a versatile attacker that can impact us in a number of roles, right? When I see Rodrigo, that also counts with him. But I see a talismanic left winger. If we remove the fact that it's Eze and Rodrigo, and I couldn't sit here, Bhavs, and tell you who to get, that just tells me that's the sort of player you're looking for. I still need those kind of players to rock him through the door, because I still think we're a bit short. Like, where do you actually think we'll bring in, like, how many numbers do you think we'll bring in again? Like, do you think we'll bring in one more attacker, 2 attackers, none? Because some Arsenal fans with PTSD. Like, do you think after Gyokeres we'll actually get someone else?
I mean, we've got 6 players in so far, and 2 of them are attackers. But I think there will be a third. I hope so, at least. Fingers crossed, touch wood. And I think it will be an attacking midfielder. So it solves what we need there. And the 7 players is quite a lot of signings coming in. So people talk about sign. Some of the best teams, they haven't signed players and they've gone on to win titles, i.e. Liverpool last season, keeping their main players fit and, giving them the best platforms as well. But for me, I think we'll get that third attacker, and that 7 signings for the window. I can't ask for much more. That's, I think, over £200 million spent. So I do believe we'll get an Eze or another attacking midfielder, and I feel like it will boost the squad quite a lot and the fan base, and it'll give the window the little icing on top that it needs.
I think you're bang on. Help me make sense of the Madueke thing, because for me, this is how I feel about Madueke. I don't feel it was needed per se. Obviously, support the lad all the way and whatnot. Can't see how it's a game changer. All right, cool. If he works on the left-hand side, it's amazing. Someone that can, fight. Well, not really fight, but deputize with Saka. Young, English. If that's what Arteta wanted, that's what you get. That's one less excuse type of thing. I don't think he's as bad as... I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's as bad as some fans have made out. I get it, because it is going and buying Chelsea players again. It is 50 million where we're working with a kind of tight budget. You can't really see where you're going to improve our team kind of thing, if that kind of makes sense. Beyond that, though, I do think he should be given an opportunity. I think I speak for every decent human being. By all means, be happy about his signing or be sad. The whole petition business, and even worse than that, the DMs is the DMing him on Instagram and all that's nonsense. We'll be supporting him all the way. But we want to get over the line. I kind of feel on paper, Madueke, I'm not saying he's better or worse than Trossard and Martinelli. And I know Kai scored a lot of goals, but Kai, in that, you don't know what you're getting in it. Like, Gyokeres is coming through the door, but Saka is the only one I know right now is doing the business. So help me make sense of the Madueke stuff, man.
I think the only thing I've seen numbers-wise that make me go, okay, cool, it makes sense to why I also saw it as an opportunity was the directness. I saw a stat where I think apart from Jeremy Doku, he's one of the most direct players in the league. And I want that. Ultimately, I want players at my club now that are not scared to, just be unpredictable and take players on and be mavericks. And we saw it last year at times where those 0-0 draws, or the draws that we had all of last season, a lot of the times the players were passive. Apart from Saka, how many players were taking players on and give the man in the ball with the confidence and the self-belief to go again? Because as a wide forward or as an attacker, you will lose the ball, you will miss chances. But if you've got the mindset to go again, then you're going to go and win more games of football. And ultimately, if you shoot, you score, and it's one of those where Madueke takes a lot of shots as well. And I think he took 4 per game last season or 3, one of the highest in the Premier League.
There's something in him for sure.
He's a player who has a lot of self-belief, because even at Chelsea, where a lot of fans, I don't think he was not rated. When Havertz left, a lot of fans were like, thank God he's gone, because he was missing so many chances and, fans were done with him. When Madueke is gone,
they were saying he was their best winger last season.
He was growing, he was getting better and better, and he's not a player that I went into the window going, okay, I want that. But in terms of Mikel Arteta, he might have seen something and gone, look, for that price tag, what he's worth for £50 million now, I can make him into a £60, £70 million wide forward. And
he has no choice now.
Oh, he has to. It's a risk from Mikel Arteta's side of things. If it works out, you go, all right, Mikel.
You put your name on that now, Arteta.
Exactly. And I feel that is quite a Mikel Arteta push signing, to be quite honest. The Havertz deal is still quite controversial, even to this day. Of did it work out? Was it worth the money? Was it worth the wages? On Madueke side of it, the price tag's higher than I would have paid, but I don't think the wages are too high. I think he was only on 50k a week at Chelsea, and I think he'll probably be on similar at Arsenal, if not slightly higher. But it only makes sense to me. It will only make sense to me with spending £50 million on the player if he's come to be a starter. I don't see him starting with Bukayo Saka.
This is what I'm saying.
He can play on the left-hand side, because Mikel's always wanted another left-footed winger. He went for Rafinha. We saw Leroy Sané links to the earlier in this window as well. So he's wanted that profile. I think, Mudrik's another one. I think, is he not right-footed though? Mudrik is right-footed, no?
To be fair, I actually see him use both his feet, to be fair.
I feel like in Madueke, a lot of the stigma from the Arsenal fan base is less the quality of the player, and what they've seen is the fact that he's Chelsea. That's the main thing. When I look at a transfer, I look at the quality of the player itself and what he can offer to the side. And I feel he offers stuff that we don't really have. More directness on the left-hand side. Players got self-confidence to shoot from range or inside the box. Good ball striking as well. I actually feel like when it came to signing Chelsea players, I didn't rate Havertz that highly compared to Madueke. I feel like he's got a lot more to work with, and what fans see, the aesthetic purposes as well. His dribbling's a bit unorthodox, but it's effective. I think last year compared to most Arsenal wide forwards, he was quite high in terms of dribbles completed, progressive carries, and stuff like that. So there's stuff to work with, and we're talking about guys still 23 as well. We're not talking about the worst winger in the world who we spent £90 million on. I feel there's quality there, but I get why Arsenal fans have got the stigma with Chelsea because of our previous signings. But I think Jorginho was fine in my eyes. I didn't look at David Luiz as a massive failure either. I think Havertz has been what he is so far. But I get it. I think Arsenal fans are like, if we give them the money now, they can go sign a Xavi Simons, who sounds more exciting on paper. If we had signed Madueke from PSV, there'll be a lot more excitement.
Yeah,
same players, same quality,
same
age.
Yeah.
But it's more how fans see it from rival clubs, and it's like the whole tribalism in football right now.
That's the issue. And for Madueke, I give you all the support. I do think I don't know about internally, but externally, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Arteta, a lot of pressure on the boys to deliver. Obviously, people are expecting big things from the Zubimendis, from the Gyokereses. It's a bit positive and negative with Madueke, but the draw outs are kind of pending. I just feel like I like the fact you like to take people on. I like the point you made about him being a left-footed person. I like the fact that he could obviously rotate in and out. And I say it again, I don't think he's as bad. The only issue is, and even when you go on Arsenal.com and you read what Berta and Arteta said, they talk a lot about metrics, and I understand it. That's how you scout people, the amount of take-ons. I actually feel he gets into the box and box crashes a lot. The only issue with that is, though, as naive as this is, I do think to a degree we're at the point now, the only statistics that matter with any of these attackers is, can you get goals? Can you get assists? That is kind of it. And I'm kind of squinting, if I'm honest with you, with Madueke. So it's not even that I'm getting at Madueke. Arteta, I need you to make that work. And I also feel we don't know what the club's working with in it, but you see how there's a 68 million release clause for Eze. if it is a case, and we know it's not the same, but we're negotiating for Eze. They're saying 68 million. We're saying we've only got 58, and there's a 10 million discrepancy, and it doesn't happen. God forbid, Arsenal fans are rightly going to say, "Oh yeah, so why did you spend 50 on Madueke where you could have saved money and done X, Y, Z?" All we can hope for with Madueke is that it works. Arteta has to make it work. We need to get over the line in that kind of regards, man. What do you feel about that? It's not as glamorous, it's not as sexy, but like the stopgap signings, like we've touched on Zubimendi. I know you're a big fan of his, but what do you make of the Norgard? Maybe not so much yesterday because I don't know how much you read into it, but what do you make of the purchase of Norgard, of Kepa? Well, he ain't been announced yet, but Mascara and all of it, and whoever I ain't said.
I think the stopgaps are talking is Kepa and Norgard. I think Mascara is more of a long-term player who can come into the team. You're building a squad where if you've got so many games in the Champions League and you're going to compete for the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, you need to have more quality players. And Arteta's always wanting another right-footed centre-back. We've talked about Guehi in the past as well, but Mascara fits that bill.
Right back as well.
Norgard and Kepa are decent signings and they don't need to have much more said on that. They're players that do the job for now. In terms of Norgard, I think he's still, right now, our only player who's over 30, which is, for me, kind of a concern. Because I feel like I think he's the only player over 30 right now. He's 31. And when you compare to Liverpool last year and teams that have won a title like Man City, they've got a lot more players, not just I'm talking about 30s, but in their late 20s, they've got a lot of experience.
We've got a couple of those.
Because we've let go of Jorginho, we let go of Partey. I think Kepa is probably at 28. So right now, I think Norgard is our only player over 30. And he's not out. He's
basically just Kepa's just turned 30.
So he got two now. Hold on. We got two.
You got two, trust.
Yeah, that's like we need to talk about. We still lack a lot of like players like that are in their prime, that are 28, 29. Gyokeres is one of those players. Hence why I like the sign.
Gyokeres, Zubi.
Gyokeres,
mid to late 20s. I get you.
Yeah. Like you look at Liverpool's core last year. Virgil van Dijk is well in his 30s. Mo Salah is well in his 30s. So these are players that they know what they're about. They know how to do it. They've got the experience, and it's great for other players. The positive for Arsenal is our young players are also like 23, so they've got a level of experience. Like Bukayo Saka's 23, but he's got so much more experience than a lot of other players do. So we do have players to work with there, but these players are nowhere near their physical complete prime. So I think it is lack of experience for me is a bit of an issue, and I don't think a lot of fans have talked about it so far. But in terms of Norgard, he doesn't deserve any massive over-analysis. He's a solid signing. He'll do a job. He's got like a good defensive ability. So in games where Arsenal need to hold it down, you can bring him off the bench. I think in terms of last season, I saw the stat yesterday from Arsenal where they were saying he had the most shots from set pieces. So again, another aspect to your play.
That's an exciting coaching stuff still.
Yeah, of course it will. And again, in games where you're chasing it and you want to throw another set piece guy on, a guy who can get his head onto the ball, you got another option there as well. And Kepa's just a solid backup goalkeeper, And the deal made sense. Even regardless of that, what you're getting is a player who's starting last year for Bournemouth. I think that was their best ever finish. And it's £5 million. Where's the risk there? Of course, Arsenal fans would love to have João Garcia, but then you have the uncomfortable conversation: does he start over David Raya?
Exactly what I said last summer, bro.
He's going to Barcelona, and he'll probably be a starter there. So it's one of those where it's hard to see anything wrong with those signings itself. Zubimendi is very exciting. The performance yesterday was.
He's changing our lives. I'm going to say this again in every stream. Zubimendi is changing our lives. He is better than Thomas Partey. I ain't got a leg to stand on because he ain't kicked a ball in the Premier League for us. I big up Partey when he was here, away from all that other tosh that he was involved with, which we don't condone. Zubimendi is going to change our lives. I think, unfortunately, kind of what we're saying. Like, I actually feel it's quite unfortunate that I don't know what's going on, but it feels like it's taken forever to get Gyokeres. So it's definitely taken about 20 years for Zubimendi in our pursuit of his. Mascara's, you're basically here, but you're not. We don't get into hype you lot or people aren't excited, but Zubimendi and Gyokeres is changing our lives. You're bang on that.
Deserves hype. And also because we've seen him play in teams, apart from Spain itself, like Real Sociedad, that aren't the best. So it's very hard for him to thrive at his level if he's not got the quality of players around him. You saw it yesterday with Odegaard and Dalman, where when you've got the runs being made, he can now find you. And it was, I think when he came on in the second half, he didn't pass the centre-backs at all. I think a couple passes max. And that's what I want to see progressive midfielders, because at times I hate the amount that we pass around the back. We keep moving it around. Even in games that we're chasing it, we're very patient. Zubimendi came on yesterday, and as soon as he came on, a lot of our ball was in that final third, and we kept it there. And we had that locked in for so long.
Punchy.
And that's we saw that pass. I think it was a Dalman where he took it first time, and I was like, that's what I want to see. because last year it was too much passing around the back and maybe playing that ball forwards, but
U-shape.
all that awful ball over the top, which never works out for Arsenal. That's why I think Zubimendi is going to be a game changer. And yeah, it deserves more hype because of the teams that wanted him as well. You know, you saw with the Real Madrid links, the fact that they saw him as a Luka Modric replacement, and then even Liverpool last
fans
year.
can never slander him, by the way. I'm just
But
throwing that out there.
It's been was it agreed back in January, no? Where there was talk about
agreed
Arsenal
back in January. Been chasing the guy for about 2-3
Yeah.
years.
Even like the Gyokeres hype will die down as soon as we get the player and he makes his first appearance. Because if Liverpool sign an Isak, it's like we want more. They got Isak, we want that. So I don't really care about the hype. I care about the quality.
Greedy.
Now we're as football fans now. We're all on social media. We're all trying to flex our players and who we're signing. And nowadays signings are flexed like trophies. We've seen it with Chelsea fans years after years. When they sign the player that everyone else wanted, oh, look at us, we've got this player, we've got the most pull. But ultimately, what matters is the quality on the pitch. And I feel like if we've got Zubimendi starting next season, staying fully fit and available, alongside Rice, that's a great pivot there. That's a fantastic pivot there. And I think it also works together very well, complements each other nicely as well. And that's a very good signing. And he deserves more hype. He hasn't got it so far, but once he makes the starts and performances, I'm sure he'll get it.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm beyond the obvious. I'm excited about Zubimendi purely because of Declan Rice. Now it's very different. Rice coming as a world-class 6. Everybody knew what he was doing at West Ham. We knew what we was getting, but then he's become more of a box-to-box. Let's just say he's a more rounded midfielder. Now, obviously, Zubimendi is a lot better than him in the terms of the technical aspect of the game, with the greatest of respect. But that's why I'm even more excited. I think naturally Zubimendi is going to contribute to all phases of the game. He's going to give us a lot in and around the edge of the opponent's area. I think the guy is going to really change our lives. But that being said, though, like we've spoken on Gyokeres, we've spoken on Madueke, obviously Zubimendi, what it means and whatnot. We hope for the Ezes and the Rodrigos and this one and that one. How much of it comes down to recruitment and how much of it comes down to either Mikel Arteta evolving the tactics? Because it doesn't necessarily mean, obviously, better players. We're gonna probably win more games or might break down low blocks. But just slapping Rodrigo, Eze, Gyokeres, this one, Zubimendi instead of Partey, they don't necessarily mean we're gonna break down low blocks. Like we haven't broke them down for 2 years. Like how much of it is just down to recruitment and how much is Arteta got to go to the drawing board for you?
No, there's a lot for Mikel to work with as well, because we saw it at Schlott last season. The platforms he gave to those attackers plays a massive part to why they were making those chances. He plays a different style to Mikel Arteta. So Mikel's got to now look at his players he's going to be given. Gyokeres and Madueke and maybe an Eze, hopefully. You got Bukayo Saka as well. A lot of quality is there. Now you need to make sure these players are in the right areas and also, getting into the right goal scoring positions as well. I think last year, Odegaard was too focused dropping deeper because maybe we didn't trust Partey as much in the build-up phase, and Rice isn't as good at that either. When now you've got Rice alongside Zubimendi, and you're not even talking about the fullbacks of Timber or White or Miles Lewis-Kelly. So there's a lot of options there where Odegaard can stay higher up the field, and we saw that passes today from Zubimendi, where you're going to find him higher up the pitch. Now it's up to Mikel Arteta to make sure those players, are given the right environment, because I feel like for too long we've got certain profiles that he's trying to shoehorn into the roles he wants. The best example being Martinelli. He's not a winger and out wide forward. He is more of a striker playing centrally, so you need to move him centrally, but he hasn't done that. And that's why I feel like next season, if he gets an Eze, the pressure is there regardless. But if you get an Eze as well, a lot of fans will look at those profiles and go, okay, now you've got Eze and Odegaard and you've got Waneri. How do they play together? Because the quality is there then. We've seen teams that have less quality break down low blocks, so why can't we do it? And that's why I feel like, look at Newcastle's midfield, Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali and who else is it? Joe Linton. None of them are real creative midfielders. They're more box to box. But they find a way to make it work. When Liverpool in the league with Henderson playing as their most creative number 8, it is doable. You have to find other players to do so. And when you've got Bukayo Saka, who I still believe is our best player, if you put him next to Gyokeres, whoever it is, platform it right, and I think you'll see him thrive.
Exactly. And like with Gyokeres and Saka, there's only so much double mark he could do. But like Gyokeres could score and win us the game in the first 10 games of the season, the 11th. It might be like, do you remember like when we played Sporting and Gyokeres didn't really do anything? I know he had that moment where he skinned Saliba and he hit the post. That is going to happen to Gyokeres in the Premier League, but we need other people to make the difference. I do think in Arsenal at the moment, obviously everybody's got roles, everybody's quality. Someone like Rodri being out of City saw what happened, but I do think we're kind of getting into that trap where if Odegaard isn't in the best of form and we're not creating, we're in issues. If Saka can't do it, we're in issues. You get where I'm going with that. So I think you're bang on the money, but the pressure's on. Arteta's not an idiot. He knows what he needs to do. In an ideal world, I know it's too simplistic, but the 2022-23 season with the attacking, with the defensive the year before, year after, you merge that, We're laughing, but it's not as simple as that. Big up yourself for the super chat. Let me ask Bhavs this. Sorry, big up Nonandinho, I think your name is. Sell Saliba if it meant we could buy Isak now.
Nah, I'm alright.
Well, is that Gyökeres?
I'll tell you what, I love Isak as a player, but you have to think about 120 million pounds. That's one thing. Losing Saliba is enough, right? Is he worth that level of money if we're gonna get him and he'll have 10 great games and he gets injured again? Because even now, right now, he's nursing an injury. We saw it last year and the year before that. If I'm paying that level of money, I love the fact that we've paid that for Rice, and Rice is always fit, always available. I hope he stays that way going forwards as well. And that's what you're paying the money for. You want players that are always going to be available. The last thing I'd want is we say we're in a Champions League semi-final again and Isak's nursing an injury. And it's like, oh, well, it's a massive major doubt. Because it's a reoccurring theme of his career. That's why I've always had... I get why Arsenal have gone for other players. I get why they've gone for Gyokeres, who's like only, 60 million pounds? And then you can go and get Eze and a Madueke as well. And it will all kind of end up being there and thereabouts or slightly more. But you've got 3 players there that give you 3 different options as well. And I feel like that's why we talk about low blocks next year. A lot of the times it's about shooting from outside the box. And what I like about Gyokeres and Eze and Madueke is they love to shoot the ball. A lot of our players last year is about keeping the ball, passing it to the sides. When you've got those 3 players in there, if they get even half a yard of space, they will shoot. And if you can, get in the right areas, whether it's deflections or rebounds, you'll get more goals.
Don't think you're lying there, man. And that's where we need to that's another. Do you know what? There's actually players on that point you made. There's actually players I believe can do that at Arsenal. I can't lie to you though, man. Where it looks, talk to me about Gyokeres firstly before I ask you something else. Talk to me about Gyokeres. What are you making of it? Was you more of Sesko's been linked with Newcastle? Was you more in the Sesko camp? Was you more in the Gyokeres? Didn't you really care? You just wanted a striker, and they both got their pros and cons. Talk to me. Let me know all your thoughts with Gyokeres, man.
To be fair, as I said, Sesko or Gyokeres, I've always said is win-win. Both strikers give things that we don't have. And I think in terms of Gyokeres, what you're getting is not just the player and the quality, but the mentality as well. Not the fact that he wants to come to Arsenal, he sacrificed so much to come to Arsenal. It's the fact that even in that game against Arsenal where, he was getting nothing all game, he still kept going. He still kept pushing. And we're going to have games next year. We're in the 80th minute. And he struggled. And teams are going to close them out. But he's still going to keep going. And because of his shot quality and his ability to just fire shots into the corners and that power, he's always going to cause an issue and he's always going to be a threat. So now teams have to worry now where against PSG, where you had Marino as a striker in that second leg, they were allowing him to kind of drift down and do what he wants. But if he's Gyokeres now, you have to close him down. You can't be passive around Gyokeres because if you give him space and he's got shooting quality, he will go and score that goal as well, which gives more space to Saka and the other wide forwards to Martin Odegaard. So I feel like in Gyokeres' signing, we've seen players that aren't at his level. Yeah, we've seen players that aren't of his level as a natural striker, i.e. Kai Havertz and Mikel Merino thrive for Arsenal in certain games as a striker. So if you then get a natural shooter whose goal is in his mind to score goals,
and we should be creating more anyways.
We've not had a striker like that for a long time. Because Havertz
has no excuse. He's gonna bang.
Exactly. Havertz has got a lot of things where he can be a good striker, but it's like, does he have that mindset of he'll pass rather than shoot? Gyokeres ain't passing that ball.
I can't lie. Big up, Kai. You got a part to play in the squad, but it's time to go back to basics.
Gyokeres is a big having them both play together is going to work out as well. They both have things that they both
hope for that as well. There's going to be games we're going to need that. We're going to need to do the mix and blend thing.
Having those options is most important because the idea
What did you say there, Bhavs? Having those options.
It's options. You want to have solutions for certain games, and you got Everton 0-0 last year. If you've got Gyokeres starting and he's not working out, throw Havertz on next to him. Then throw more balls into the box. You've got now more aerial threats. Zubimendi's going to be naturally more progressive regardless. So we saw the
Gyokeres stay further up.
Yeah, man, we saw the creative bag in the game against Milan where we saw the pass to Odegaard, but what about the pass? I think it was to one of the wide. Was it Nelson where he just licked it in behind on the left hand side, the outside of the boot pass? So he's got that creativity as well. We're going to have more options next season, and I think if you get an Eze on top of that, then you're going to have the extra one that you're looking for. And they're all Mavericks. They're all players that want to be the star men. We don't want to have the conversation where we've only got one star player. If you've got Eze and you've got Gyokeres, these are players that want to be seen as the best as well. And they will take numbers as well that are of number 10, number 14, big time numbers for big time players.
I mean, Eddie and Ketty wore it, so I ain't even that deep, respectfully to Eddie and that stray. But
that's what I mean. We've all got another favourite 14 in it, and we're not talking Theo Walcott.
The thing with Gyokeres for me, it's away from the celebration. It's bro, you got the mentality. I hear it. There's concerns.
I love the hype.
I love it. I love everything about him. I think you're a brute. Exactly. Like I think you could score goals. I think you brute. I think you're general. I think it's obviously when you're scoring the amount of goals, you're big up the catch up, by the way. Make sure you're subscribing to them. Big up them for the super chat. But I think, when you're scoring that amount of goals, like that's all people can focus on, innit? Like it's crazy. Even if the exchange rate from the Portuguese league to England isn't the same and he's not getting as much, I see no reason you can't get 20 goals. I think people just label him as a goal scorer is quite lazy. His general play is good. He does pull out to the left. He can affect the game without scoring. He is a bully. He has that, like you didn't say it in so much words, but kind of what you were saying with Eze, and that he's kind of been around the block. This is your chance to kind of thrive. It's right now mode. Also, why I like it as well, like I would have been cool with Sesko it's I don't know if this is right, and I don't know. Listen, between Arteta and Berto, I don't really care. I think they both like both strikers and were able to pivot. But it's like signing Gyokeres is like the un-Arsenal striker, if that makes sense. So it kind of forces us to change stuff. Like I'm not comparing him to Haaland. I hope he's up there for goals and we can run that. But I see Arteta signing Gyokeres in the same vein that Pep Guardiola signing Haaland, in that he's got to meet him halfway type of thing. Like you've got to keep him being who he is, but also tailor him to that. Exactly. And then you make him unpredictable, bro. Like it becomes unpredictable. We 100%. Become unpredictable.
If we play like we played last season, Gyokeres is not going to thrive. So when you're getting that play, you're gonna have to change. If you're gonna keep throwing balls into the box, Gyokeres can win headers, but he ain't amazing, right? He even of Havertz or Marino's level. But it's about finding cutbacks across the floor. A more instinctive striker. Gyokeres will adapt naturally, but you got to play to your strengths as well. And that's what I'm talking about platforms. Mikel will be given the strikers. You will have Viktor Gyökeres, who scored, I think, the most goals in Europe over the past 2 seasons. How can you get the best out of those numbers? How can you help him translate those numbers into the Premier League? Because if you put any player, no matter what quality, in the wrong system, they ain't going to thrive.
And this is where I'm looking at things, man. I big up K Stacks, and I see some of you in the chat saying Maresca officially, Mascara. I keep saying Maresca like I'm about to sign for Chelsea. Mascara officially announced. Madueke is as long as we get Eze and Rodrigo. I hear that, and I think it would be quite unfair to the club. Like, obviously, pressure is a privilege. And like what Bhavs said about Madueke, a bit like what I just said about Gyokeres, when it's all said and done, I like the fact Madueke believes in himself. I don't want to be rude here, but I've seen players at Arsenal and players in football. You couldn't get the ball off them in a phone box. They can do it all. They're Bobby Dazzlers, great first touch, everything. But they don't kind of believe in themselves. And I'm not saying Madueke is this, but I've seen players that are quote unquote shit. They believe they're the guys kind of thing, and you see them do a lot. So that's going to serve it. Reality is there's only 3 things in this world that Madueke needs to draw belief from. Himself, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's a myth. God, if God touches you, then it is what it is. You can thrive. And Mikel Arteta, I know it's not the same, but thousands of people can get onto you on social media. The pundits can do whatever. The fans, whether in the ground or on social media or whatever, on channels, can say what they want. But if the manager believes in you, quote unquote, that's the only opinion that matters, because he's deciding whether we should play you or not. But I do agree with you in that if we need more in it. Like it can't just be a Madueke thing. And if it's just Madueke, Mikel Arteta, he needs to be in PFA Player of the Season shouts and things like that, because we need to get over the line, man. A couple of people are saying Mascara has been announced, fam. Like, what you saying to him? I must be like, I don't know what's going on with Chelsea. They might need a new content creator, but you saying for him, I don't know why I keep saying that.
I can't comment on him saying like I've seen him play week in, week out. I'm not gonna lie about that. I've seen clips of him. It looks decent as well. From the guys that do watch him, they give me positive stuff, and I feel like it's like a Saliba type signing where you're taking the risk on a player who's still young, but for the price tag, 20 million euros, you can't go wrong with it. And I feel it's like we need to use that going forward to next season. We saw it last year where Saliba was playing nearly every single minute. Now you've got an option there where you can trust him. And I think across Europe last season, he played the most games out of any player who's under 21. So there's a lot of potential there, isn't it?
So he don't want to be a bench boy. He's coming to take a spot.
He don't want to be a bench boy, but I feel like for his like age and the minutes he's played, he deserves a bit of a break, to be honest.
No, you're going to be a bench player, but I think you're on this, like, I want to take someone's spot.
You got a future plan. We don't know how long Saliba's here for his career or for a couple more years.
He's not here that long, man. It's a ticky time bomb.
Would you rather be in a position where Saliba in a year or two's time, even if you want a title goal, I still want to go to Madrid. Do you then want to be where we're looking for centre backs now? Or if you've got Mascara, who's been there for a couple of years, he's shown of a high quality as well. You can pick up the young players as well coming through, like Salman as well, where you've got a player who's got high quality. But yeah, I feel like Mascara it's a solid deal. Again, doesn't deserve too much of analysis.
like you said, man, we need depth. Like I wouldn't say he's a Tomiyasu replacement per se, but he can play left centre back, right centre back, and right back. Wouldn't even rule out his capacity to play left back on occasion. Where I'm cool with this is basically everything you said. It don't need too much analysis. We need defensive bodies. There's a lot of upside. Obviously, you know, Benjamin White, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, all of them. We kind of had to, you know, we couldn't wrap them in cotton wool. And for me, like I don't. Obviously, it's very different, yeah. And I don't know if this is going to make sense to you, Bhavs, but I'm more on forget the price tag, just unearthed potential type of thing with Mosquera and
Yeah.
obviously Madueke. Yeah, I'm more on Mikel Arteta signing the defenders because it's not that he hasn't improved attackers. People can say what they want about him. Mikel Arteta, Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe when he was here. Kai Havertz generally and how he's seen in football nowadays, they've all improved in attacking sense under Mikel Arteta. But I think even better than that is his defending. Like again, we look like it, at one point Saliba was gone. Saliba's playing. Obviously, Ben White. When we got him and Ramsdale, they were onto them. Exactly. All them defensive signings. I think if there's one position I'm cool with, Arteta's got it on lock in it. So, like he said, there's not really.
He's a good coach.
Exactly.
Regardless of what you think about his managing ability and ability to get over the line, he's a very high quality coach.
You just need to win now. That's it.
You need to give him quality players to coach, and then when you got those and you got enough players, and if they can stay fit, because for all we know, if we have our first team that was, you know, a majority injured at times last season, if they can stay fit, that's already like not a new signing, but that's already a major boost. And then you got the players on top of that, the extra solutions like Gyokeres, Madueke, and maybe an Eze as well, and of course Zubimendi. So you got more to work with, and I feel like we need to build a squad.
Let's stop saying maybe Eze, man. Let's talk into existence. Eze as well.
We'll manifest it. Eze, welcome to us.
You need Arsenal better, please, man, please, because it feels like the window where
we've got more. We've got more on the market, and we've got a long time to work with it as well.
We need to get it done, and for me, yeah, like it feels like the first window where again we can criticize or praise any deal depending on how it works out, yeah. But there's previous years, as you know yourself, we might need a defender and a midfielder, but we'll get one of the two. We might need a striker and a left winger, we'll only get one of the two. It feels like maybe because we've left ourselves no kind of choice. We're kind of going around plugging all of these gaps, and again, the more players,
they're not messing about, man.
We can't mess about. It's time to get over the line, bro.
They're not, because if you look at previous years, they fixate on certain players. We saw the links today that we were looking for Paulinho at Bayern. Didn't work out. Cool, we're gonna get Odegaard. You know, we want Shesko. Ain't gonna work out. We're gonna get Gyokeres. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's all about making sure you move on, having your other targets, and making it work out. Let's not forget, like certain key players for us right now, like Trossard. They were not our number one targets. We wanted other players first. It didn't work out. We made that signing and it worked out. So there's always quality on the market. It's just about, you know, making the right deals and spending money the right way. And if we can get a window where you've got 3 attackers in, I think that would be a very promising window.
And it's jarring because everyone was happy about Gyokeres. Not that Arsenal fans aren't, but naturally with the Isaac stuff, it's not that no one don't care about Gyokeres. Yeah, like that stuff's gonna happen. But for me, when I'm seeing Sesko linked with Newcastle and Isaac probably going Liverpool, PSG, wherever, it's nice that we are not involved. Cool, Gyokeres is my guy. That's the guy I've got. So yeah, fans. Exactly, just give everyone a chance. Xavier, I've had your comment up here for a while. I appreciate you. I've dropped my email in the chat, so just shout me. I built an app that allows your viewers to automatically sync their TV to your watch alongs. Would you like to try it out? Can you email you some details? Yeah, I've posted it, so go and get that done, man. I appreciate you. But yeah, we've gone over Maresca. If Hulk Hogan really has passed away, RIP. I've seen a couple of people comment that, and yeah, man, like it is. Well, it is RIP Hulk Hogan. You don't want to hear that kind of thing. That's jarring, man. Sad.
Crazy, man. Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man. I got one last question to ask you before I obviously let you get out of here. Where is it, man? I wanted to ask you something. Yeah. Because you mentioned Saliba. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of conflating reports. Some say he'll sign a new deal and whatnot. We all know he's got a deal until 2027. Do things like this worry you, especially where he's ready to make a financial effort in order to join Real Madrid? Where you look at Arsenal, I'm not saying he's money motivated, but realistically, we're gonna have to pay you handsomely. Same for Saka.
Yeah. No, they worry me to an extent, but not that much. If Real Madrid wants a player, you could be a homegrown lad, you could win a title, you could be a Scousman through and through, and you're still gonna go to Real Madrid. The one thing that we have with Saliba is because he's got a couple more years there. Madrid don't like paying money, so if they want him on a free, they got to wait a bit. And you know there's reports that they might go for Konate as well, who could be free next season. So I feel like for me, I'm not too worried about it. I feel like he will sign a new deal, but I feel long term wise, he will play eventually for Real Madrid, and it is what it is.
How long do you honestly think he's gonna stay? Like, obviously,
I
you're not a
think
fortune
probably,
teller.
probably we can start winning this season. Probably a couple, maybe 2, 3 more seasons. And you never know. Maybe in those years where he wins titles for Arsenal, the advantage that we have compared to Liverpool, we're on the capital city. That matters to players, bro. These men have got bags and bags and bags to spend. Would you rather spend that at Liverpool or would you rather spend it in Real Madrid? Do you know what I mean? And that's why having the advantage of London is a massive part. We saw it with the Alexis Sanchez deal back in 2014, where Liverpool had the deal with Suarez going to Barca, and they wanted Sanchez to return. Sanchez was like, well, Arsenal have come calling. They didn't fight for a title last year, but they're in London. And so for players, it matters. That's why I think we've all seen the reports that Saliba's very happy in London. And it does play a part. So I'm not too concerned. I think he'll sign a new deal, but Berta's got quite a lot done so far. If you can get a new Saka contract done and a new Saliba contract done as well, then I feel
go
like...
with Magalhaes and the rest of them.
Yeah, you got Gabriel and you got Lewis Kelly and Wanyeri all done as well. So there's a lot of players signed there. But you got 2 more big ones. And if you can do that, it'll be quite an achievement.
I think for me, it's a case of I've got no problem with William Saliba going to Real Madrid one day. It's the evolution of life. Like, they're the massive club. You got one career to live. All of that kind of thing. Yeah, where the only thing I would be pissed off about, and you made a great point about London, but the only thing that would piss me off is, obviously, I don't want you to leave for free. But, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I know Liverpool fans are not happy with him leaving for free. Yeah, you can't let that happen for that. But for me, it's a thing where I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo win everything at Man United and still go Madrid. I've seen Trent do everything at his boyhood club and still go. But at least the memories are there. If the Sakas, I don't even want to get Saka involved, but the Sakas, Salibas, if we've been good but not great and he leaves, it's what if in it kind of thing. So that's where I'm at. Like, I think he'll sign a new deal. I hope you sign a new deal. I got no problem you going Madrid. We just need to get some flipping money, for some real money from you. Berta's not a dickhead, and we're gonna get some peas. So yeah, man. But
that's why I think it's important. If by next summer he ain't signed a new deal, it's time to sell. Move on.
Yeah, it's time to go. World Cup year as well. Don't play them dangerous games. Big up penalty spot. We'll have the players soon. Ultimately, it will be down to the manager's tactics. Lesser squads have won the title. Time will tell. I think everybody can big up yourself for the super chat, but everybody's on that in that it is now time to deliver. When it's all said and done, there's been 3 years, 3 very different years. We finished second. Let's get over the line now. We've got the players. We're bringing in additions. We've got a decent manager. Let's see what we can do in it. Like, there needs to be some silverware as a minimum. Bhavs, I don't want to take up too much of your time here, so appreciative of you being here with myself. Can't imagine anyone don't know about your content, but where are you? I see you more on TikTok than on YouTube these days, regardless, but go on.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, YouTube's where I've been grinding out recently the most, so content's coming out. I think I posted a video a few hours ago. There should be one maybe tomorrow, day after that. So yeah, just on the Bhavs 14 YouTube channel. Got Arsenal transfer news, and hopefully we can talk about a new attacking midfielder soon as well.
Flirting with 300,000 subscribers, man. 2 and some change. You'll be there in no time. So yeah, support the thing. Subscribe. See a couple of you lot in the chat as well saying that you watch Bhavs and you watch me and Bhavs. So if you don't watch Bhavs, I can't imagine you don't, and you've been living under a rock. Go support the team, man. People, I'll try getting back on in August, but until then, man, Bhavs, bless up yourself, my guy, man. And yeah, someone just said they just watched your video. So yeah, go watch the next one. Go watch it. Turn on a playlist or something, man. But yeah, man. On that note, chat, we're out. I'm sure you lot agree and disagree with a lot of what me and Bhavs are saying. So yeah, let us know. I'm back when I'm back. Go subscribe to Bhav. And on that, we're out. Bhavs, done now, my guy. Safe.
Love.
Come on, chat. In a bit. Everyone stay blessed.